Okay, second review of the day, we have Barry, episode 2 from season 3. This one is a good one, and I think it kind of sets the tone for what direction we're going this season. It follows along with where we left off in season 1, episode 1, which is that he has Kusno at gunpoint in the middle of his usual killing spot and has this revelation of, I know what to do. Excuse me, get in the trunk. And I think it's hilarious that the idea he ends up having in the second episode is awful and so bad to the point where he ends up having to go to a plan B like 10 minutes into the episode. And I think it's like he has this big revelation at the end of episode 1 and it ends up actually being a crap idea, which is just he's going to go to Sally's set and go, can you get him a job? And Sally says, no, I talked to him about it. We decided no. And that leads to Barry doing something that okay, I'm going to be very specific about this. Barry blows up on her. He's like screaming in her face. I do not at all condone that. I feel like that is definitely a form of abuse. But for the sake of TV and what they've been setting up with her, she needed that. And even the show plays into that where it's like it humbles her very fast because you've been seeing, I mean, the whole series, but like especially at the beginning of this season that Sally is very cocky and thinks she's above people. And even in the moments before that, it's like she was saying no to putting Kusno on set. And though you find out later in the episode, and you kind of know already, that Kusno's a douche. And so nobody wants to hire him because he's like kind of pretentious, even though he's not good. And, or not that he's not good, but he's so pretentious beyond his abilities. And so he's just terrible to work with. But then like when Sally says it, it's one of those like, you're the first person who should take him regardless and give him something, scraps, anything, which is all Barry's asking for. Because like he's the only reason you're anywhere near where you are right now. Like he taught her everything she knows. She owes him everything. And it's like, I don't know if anybody else, but it's like, I got that. And so like when he screams at her, it's like, this is a blow up where it's like, her doing that is like crossing the line of like, you as an artist only really exist because of him. Like whatever you have, you owe to this man. And you could do him one favor that would have been, you know, there'd be no consequence for you. It'd be not inconsequential. And she said no just because she probably thinks she's beyond him. And even with what she says, it's like, she kind of thinks she's like, she doesn't owe him anything. I think she actually says it at one point, which I think is so crazy. And that's why in the moment when Barry screams at her, I loved every second of it because I was like, she needed this. She needed to be humbled. And this was the only way for someone like her it would work. And then you see it later in the episode. She's like making him food and gets him spaghetti. And that's where you see the human side of her again, which is like what pays off for her in seasons 1 and 2, where it's like you get to see those little moments of her being a human and just seeing that she's flawed like the rest of it, and it's just a little more forward and a little more noticeable and a little bit more annoying. It's just her personality, and that's okay. And you get that moment here where it's like, okay, great, she's learning her lesson, she's giving him, again, hopefully they talk it out, and she says, it's not okay for you to scream at me, but I get where you were coming from. Are you okay? Because that's also something he calls her while she's setting up, and she's like, are you all right? Like, you basically screamed at me. And he goes, yeah, I'm fine, and he's got his own thing going on, and we'll get into it, but then he hangs up, and you get this feeling that she apologized for everything that she said and what she did, and then he doesn't apologize back. I think that's going to be a story going forward that's like, although early on, at least for me, I'm noticing they're making her seem very annoying and very self-indulgent. I think this is going to be the moment where she kind of learns her wrongs and sees like, why is Barry not learning anything? What's going on with Barry? What's happening? I think she's going to catch on to what's going on at some point. But then you've also got the Barry storyline, which is right now they just followed again with the Kusno thing. He's got Kusno in his trunk. He's like giving him fast food, but not letting him get out of the trunk. And he's going around now since Sally said no, he's going to try to find him an audition. And he stumbles upon his own audition by going to like an agency. It's like, absolutely no, we're not working with Kusno, but we'll give you a part. You have an interesting look. And Barry's an idiot. And he's like, okay, yeah, sure. All right. So he goes and auditions for this role, gets it, and convinces them to give Kusno a part. He goes to his car to unlock the trunk to give Kusno the good news. Kusno's not there. They have a like cat and mouse chase where Kusno eventually gets to his house, or Barry like gets in an accident right in front of Kusno right before he catches him. Kusno gets to his house where his son and his son's son is, his grandson. And he's like, oh, great. And he's about to like tell him something. He's like, call the police. And then he goes in and finds out that Barry's gotten there first and is sitting in the living room. And that's where we end, is Barry kind of whispering in his ear. He's like, if you don't go along with what I said, these two are going to go away. Which, I mean, I watched with my girlfriend and she kind of laughed at that. And I was like, I don't think that was supposed to be funny. Like, I was like, that kind of scared me where it's like, this is going to be the dynamic for the rest of the season. It's like, Barry's going to be the anti-hero, which, I mean, he already is. But it's like, we're going to see the darkest side of Barry that we've seen yet, where he's going to be unhinged. And he's now threatened someone who he loves very much. And he even goes, he's like, I love you, Mr. Kusno, say it back. And it's like, he's out of it. He's gone, and he's lost it. And I like that. That going forward, I think this is going to be a constant, and it's going to build and change a bit. But I think his relationship with Kusno is going to be a big part of this season, which I really enjoy. I think his relationship with Sally is going to be a big part of it. And we didn't even see Fuchs in this one, which I'm like, I feel like Fuchs is going to be obviously the biggest blow up, I think, in this season, because that's the whole reason for all of this is Fuchs. But I think they're going to try to hold off on that to really build that suspense, and we're going to see more Fuchs probably in the next episode. But I like that they almost made you forget about this because of the thing with him and Kusno. Is like, I forgot Fuchs was even a thing until like right before I made this video, and it's been days, and I was like, oh man, like Fuchs wasn't in that episode. But I like it. I had something else to say, and now I'm forgetting. Oh, NoHo Hank. How could I forget NoHo Hank? His relationship with the other guy from the cartel, and now his boyfriend. I'm so sorry, I keep forgetting the boyfriend's name. I'll get it eventually. Boyfriend's big boss from the cartel comes in, and so boyfriend kind of ends things with Hank and goes like, we had fun while it was there. They're clearly in love, but it's like he's trying to save NoHo Hank because he's like, you're gonna have to. They're coming after you, man. And they do plan a hit, and the boyfriend like calls NoHo Hank. He's like, get your guys out of there. And Barry killed all of NoHo's men, so he's got like 3 people, Hank. And so he takes them on like a city tour bus, which I think is hilarious. But that's going to be an interesting development too now, because I think another big boss from the cartel is coming in. So obviously now we got more people coming in, and it's even bigger. It's the comedy version of Ozark, which I think is great because that's the next review I'm going to have is the end of Ozark. But really good episode. I'm really looking forward to this season. It's a breath of fresh air after a lot of the shows that I watched this season have been kind of a letdown. But this was very good, and I'm looking forward to the next episode this week, and we'll be back with that review. Peace!